Welcome everyone to Affairs Cloud. How are you all? My name is Vikas. Today we'll be discussing important current affairs and important various topics. But before that, you should know that we have an app by the name Carriers Cloud. We have an app by the Carriers Cloud where you can go and download the current affairs. Next is Maharashtra regains top spot in justice delivery among states in India. IJR report. What is IJR report? That is Indian Justice Report. Maharashtra ranks first. So that is in the IJR report. IJR report stands for Indian Justice Report. It is the second edition of the report. Okay, and it was followed. Maharashtra was followed by Tamil Nadu in the IJR report. Let's start. This is the second edition. So, according to the second edition of Indian Justice Report, Maharashtra with 5.77 points regained the top spot for better justice delivery among 18 large and mid-sized states. It was followed by Tamil Nadu with 5.73 points and Telangana with 5.64 points. In the category of 7 small states, population less than 1 crore each, Tripura topped the list, followed by Sikkim with 4.48 points and Goa 4.42 points. The report was released by Tata Trust with support of Center for Social Justice, Common Cause, Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, Daksh, Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Okay, so these are the report released by the combination of these all right. India, it is the India's only ranking of state based on the delivery of justice to people. The justice delivery is based on four pillars: police, judiciary, prison, and legal aid. An important note: apart from 18 large and mid sized states, 7 small states remaining states were not ranked. Okay, large and mid sized states ranking, look at it. First was Maharashtra with 5.77 score. Tamil Nadu was second with 5.73, Telangana was third with 5.64, Punjab with 5.41, and fifth was Kerala with 5.36. And if we talk about the small states, first was Tripura with 4.57, second was Sikkim with 4.48, third is Goa with 4.42, Himachal Pradesh with 4.37, and Arunachal Pradesh with 4.04. What is the methodology? The report is based on 53 indicators and it is also based on first, number of women among the judges. Number of women among the judges, police officers, prison staff, and legal aid panel lawyers. Then it is also based on number of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward OBC among police constable and officers. Case pendency and the clearance rate, utilization of budget in the justice system, and vacancy in police forces, prison staff, and judge benches. Let's talk about the women representation. Only 29% of judges in India are women. Gujarat is the only state which registered an increase in women's employment across police, prisons, and judiciary. Important point. So, this was your justice delivery report and it was topped by Maharashtra. Okay, that is Indian Justice Report and it was topped by Maharashtra. Moving on to the next. So, your next is Indian billionaires increased their wealth by 35% during the lockdown. A report of Oxfam. A report of Oxfam that Indian billionaires increased their wealth by 35% during the lockdown. That is a huge amount. Okay, so here you can see the Indian billionaires increased their wealth by 35% during the lockdown, which happened due to coronavirus, and it was released by an organization by the name Oxfam. Let's look at it. Indian In accordance with the Indian supplement of Oxfam report, the inequality virus, this has been known as the inequality virus. In what is inequality virus? That large amount of wealth is concentrated with the few people. Okay, that is inequality virus. The top 100 Indian billionaires increased their wealth by 35% during the lockdown to rupees 12,97,822 crore. With this amount, a check of rupees 94,000 can be provided to 138 million poorest Indian. The report was released on the opening day of the World Economic Forum's Davos Dialogue. Notably, the wealth of Indian billionaires increased by 90% since 2009 to $422 billion. India ranked 6th in the world after United States, China, Germany, Russia and France where billionaires increased their wealth in COVID times. Key points to remember are as per the report, an unskilled worker will take 10,000 years to make what Mukesh Ambani made in an hour during the pandemic. The survey for the report covered 295 economists from 79 countries, out of which 87% expect a major increase in the income inequality in the nation. India has the world's fourth lowest health budget in the terms of its share of government expenditure. Recent related news you should know. The Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, has published a flagship report titled The State of Food and Agriculture 2020. The theme was Overcoming Water Challenges in Agriculture. The report states that around 1.2 billion people across the globe are under the high levels of water stress, which means that 1 out of every 6 people in the world are facing a severe water stress or scarcity in agriculture, with more than 50% in the rural population at risk. And if we look at about Oxfam, the chief executive officer of Oxfam is Amitabh Behr and the headquarters is in New Delhi. Okay, so this was about your Indian billionaires index. Moving on to the next. So the next is India slipped to 86th in CPI, where New Zealand and Denmark tops with minimum corruption. So what is your corruption perception index, where India slipped to its 86th rank? Okay, and New Zealand and Denmark tops it with corruption perception index 2020. India slips to 6 spots, that is to 86th rank. On January 28, the Transparency International released the Corruption Perception Index, where India slipped to 86th with a score of 40 from 80 rank with a score of 41 in 2019, stating a low position as CPI uses a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 is highly corrupted and 100 is very clean. The list has been topped by New Zealand, Denmark at the first position with a scores of 88, stating minimum corruption levels. Contrarily, Somalia and South Sudan ranks the lowest, that is 179 position with a score of 12. CPI ranked 180 countries and territories, out of which of levels of public sector corruptions, 13 expert assessments and surveys of business executives. You look at the table. 86th position was shared by India, Morocco, Trinidad, Tobago, Turkey, Timor-Leste. Okay. Then the first position was shared by New Zealand, Denmark. Third was shared by Finland, Switzerland, and Singapore. Seventh was shared by Norway. Eighth was shared by Netherlands. Ninth was shared by Luxembourg and Germany. Okay. Then the corruption deprives the global health sector of US $500 billion every year. Important one. Then key points. The key points to remember are the important countries that improved their score. There were 26 countries that improved their corruption CPI score, that is your corruption perception index. Okay. Then including Ecuador, Greece, Guyana, Myanmar, and South Korea. These are the countries that improved your corruption perception index score. There were 22 countries that decreased their scores, such as Bosnia, Guatemala, Lebanon, Malawi, Malta, and Poland. Okay. Nearly half of the countries remained stagnant on the index for almost a decade, indicating less government efforts to tackle the root cause of corruption. About CPI, that is your corruption perception index. Since its inception in 1995, the corruption perception index has become the leading global indicator of public sector corruption. It should be noted that CPI does not reflect actual real corruption level in any country. 180 nations were surveyed for CPI index. Recent news you should know is As per the Consumer Price Index, that is CPI, data released by the Government of India, India retails inflation based on the CPI declined to 6.93% in November 2020 from 7.61% in October 2020. Apart from this, you should know Transparency International. Where is the headquarter? It is in Berlin, Germany. And who is the interim MD, that is interim managing director, is Daniel. Okay, so this was your. So let's start with our video. This is the second part of the indexes and reports. The first part we covered also contains the important hot reports and indexes that you should know. And let's start with our second part of the video with Asia Pacific Personalized Health Index. India ranks 10th in the Asia Pacific Personalized Health Index 2020. I repeat, India ranks 10th in Asia Pacific Personalized Health Index 2020, and it was topped by Singapore. Okay, it was topped by Singapore, and in Asia Pacific Personalized Health Index, India ranks at 10th position. Okay, here is India ranks 10th Asia Pacific Personalized Health Index. Let's start with the topic. According to Economist Intelligence Unit EIU report, Asia Pacific Personalized Health Index 2020 developed by Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies in partnership with Roche, India with a score of 36 was ranked 10 out of 11 Pacific countries in terms of adapting personalized healthcare and steps taken to provide right care to the needed person at the right time. Singapore topped the index, followed by Taiwan, Japan at second and third positions respectively. The index is a first of its kind policy tool that provides a unique overview of the personalized health readiness of 11 systems across Asia Pacific. The 11 countries in the Asia Pacific region which were measured in the index are Australia, China, Japan, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, and New Zealand. Then Indonesia has been ranked at 11th position. At 10th position, we know India with a score of 36. First is Singapore, second is Taiwan, third is Japan. Okay. Then the index measures the performance of countries in four categories called vital signs through 27 indicators. The four vital signs are health information indicator that measures data, infrastructure, technical expertise with the drive the growth of personalized healthcare. Then second is your health service indicators that measures planning, organization and delivery of services in personalized healthcare. Third is your personalized technology indicator measures your devices, applications, platforms and reimbursement structures such as boost personalized healthcare based on needs of concerned people. Fourth is your policy context indicator measures policy frameworks, partnership, people and drives boost with personalized healthcare. Then India's ranking in other indicators. India placed at 10th rank based on the health information indicator. Singapore has topped the overall list due to the efficient national strategies, strong digital infrastructure and expanding innovation capacities. About Roche. Chief Executive Officer is Roche's Severin Schwan. Headquarter is at Basel, Switzerland. About Economics Intelligence Unit, that is EIU. Managing Director is Robin Bew and the headquarter is in London, United Kingdoms. I repeat, about Roche, Chief Executive Officer is Severin Schwan. Headquarter is at Basel, Switzerland. And about EIU, that is your Economics Intelligence Unit. Managing Director is Robin Bew and the headquarter is at London, United Kingdom. Okay, moving on to the next. So the next report is Niti Aayog releases second edition of Indian Innovation Index 2020. Who released the Indian Innovation Index 2020? It was released by Niti Aayog and it is the second edition. And Karnataka tops the index. So question can be framed, which state topped the Niti Aayog second edition of Indian Innovation Index? It was topped by Karnataka. Okay, so you can see here it is released by Niti Aayog. It is the National Institution for Transforming India. Okay, and it is the second edition. Let's see. Niti Aayog, along with the Institute for Competitives, virtually released the second edition of Indian Innovation Index 2020. Karnataka topped the index in the major states category. Delhi topped among the union territories and Himachal Pradesh among the northeastern and hilly states. Overall, Indian states have achieved an average score of 23.4 in the index. The index was released by Dr. Rajiv Kumar, who is the Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, in the presence of Dr. V.K. Paul, Member of Health, Dr. Ramesh Chand, Member of Agriculture Ministry, and Amitabh Kant, who is the CEO of Niti Aayog. You should remember this name, Amitabh Kant, CEO of Niti Aayog. Who is the Chairman of Niti Aayog? If I ask you who is the Chairman of Niti Aayog, the Chairman is our current PM, who is the any person who will be the current prime minister of the country will be the chairperson of the Niti Aayog. Okay, then the index analyzes the innovation capabilities and performance of the states and union territories. The main objective of the index is to create a framework for evaluation of India's innovation environment. It is to create the framework so that everything goes in a particular step by step order for the Indian innovation environment. In order to make the index effective, Niti Aayog has also added several new indicators and remolded the methodology. One of the indicators is research and development expenditure by state. If we look at the list, first rank in the major states was secured by Karnataka, second Maharashtra, third Tamil Nadu, fourth Telangana, fifth by Kerala. And if we see about union territory and city states, first was of Delhi, second Chandigarh, third Daman and Diu, fourth Puducherry, fifth Goa. And for the hills and northeastern region, first place was secured by Himachal Pradesh, second for Uttarakhand, third by Manipur, fourth by Sikkim, and fifth by Mizoram. Okay, so this is the important things to remember about this report of Indian Innovation Index was that it was released by Niti Aayog and it is the second edition of it, and the Karnataka state tops the index. Okay, moving on to the next. Next is we'll be looking at the FSR. What is FSR? FSR stands for Financial Stability Report. Financial Stability Report. Okay. In this, you should remember that RBI's 22nd Financial Stability Report was released in 2021. Banks' gross NPA may rise to 13.5% by September 2021. I repeat, RBI's 22nd Financial Stability Report was released in 2021 and the bank's gross NPA may rise to 13.5% by September 2021. The important thing to remember is this only, that the bank's gross NPA may rise to 13.5% by September 2021. Okay, what is NPA? NPAs are non-performing assets. Let's start. The RBI, that is the Reserve Bank of India, released the 22nd issue of its biannual financial stability report. It stated that the gross non-performing assets, are also known as GNPAs, may rise to 13.5% by September 2021 from 7.5% in September 2020. That is a straight 6% increase in a single year. Okay, in the severe case stress scenario, it is projected that the GNPA ratio will rise to 14.8%, which will be 24-year high. It was 15.7% in March 1997. Banks' GNPA and net NPA declined and stood at 7.5% and 20.1% respectively in September 2020. I repeat, Banks' GNPA and net NPA stood at 7.5% for GNPA. For NNPA, it was 2.1% in September 2020. Then, public sector banks. If we talk about public sector banks, PSB's GNPA ratio was 9.7 in September 2020, and the projection is that it may rise to 6.2% in September 21. Okay, the projection in severe strain scenario is 6%. For private banks, the GNPA ratio of private banks is 4.6% in 2020 and it is projected to rise 7.9% in September 2021. For foreign banks, the GNPA ratio was 2.5% in 2020 and it is expected to rise to 5.4% in September 2021. Okay, so important thing to remember about this is the bank's gross NPA non-performing assets may rise to 13.5% in September by September 2021, and it is your financial stability report. And who gives this financial stability report? It is given by RBI. Okay, it is given by RBI. Moving to the next. Next is almost two-thirds, that is over 1.2 million people surveyed worldwide, says that climate change is a global emergency. They say that it is a global emergency. We'll be looking at the People's Climate Report now. The United Nations Development Program, that is UNDP, released the results of People Climate Report, that is the world's largest survey of public opinion on climate change. I repeat, United Nations Development Program released the results of People's Climate Report, and it is the world's largest survey of public opinion on climate change. Around 1.2 million people participated in the survey, out of which two-thirds of the people, that is 64%, believed that the climate change is a global emergency. The survey conducted by UNDP along with the University of Oxford, United Kingdom, spanned 50 countries and covered 56% of the world's population. The People's Climate Vote is a part of Mission 1.5 campaign launched by UNDP in 2020 for educating people about climate change solutions and asking people about the actions needed to be taken for tackling the climate change problem. Okay, so this is your climate People's Climate Report, and it was released by UNDP, and it is the world's largest survey on climate change. Okay, released by UNDP, and it is the world's largest survey. Okay, moving on to the next. So next we will be looking the report on the aging of dams in the world. Okay, UN University releases a report on aging dams in the world. Okay, aging dams in India, US and other nations poses a growing threat. A report by United Nations. United Nations University Institute for Water, Environment and Health released a report called Aging Water Shortage Infrastructure, an Emerging Global Risk. The report states that the aging of large dams is an emerging global development issue as they pose greater threat to human safety and development. Globally, around 10,000 or more dams have reached or exceeded the alert age limit of 50 years, and many dams are expected to approach 100 years soon. Around 32,000 large dams, that is the 55% of the world, are situated in only 4 Asian countries, that is China, India, Japan and South Korea. Majority of these dams are said to reach the limit of 50 years threshold. In India, about 1,115 large dams are said to reach the 50 years mark by 2025. The report consists of case studies on decommissioning and aging of dams from the United States, France, Canada, India, Japan, and Zambia and Zimbabwe. Dumindra Perara, Vladimir Shmaktin, Spencer Williams, Taylor North, Alan Curry were the authors of the report. So this report, that is the aging of dams, mainly focuses on the dams that are getting aged above age of 50 years and 100 years. So the world is getting concerned over such dams, and a proposal is being made to decommission them. Okay, moving to the next. Next is Henley Passport Index. World's most powerful passport of 2021 has been awarded to Japan. Okay, to Japan. And what is the rank of India? India ranked 85th in the Henley Passport Index. So look at it. Let's start. India's rank. What was India's rank? India ranked at 85th position in Henley Passport Index. Let's start. Look at it. Henley and Partners released Henley Passport Index for the quarter 2021 global ranking, where India ranked at 85th position with visa-free score of 58. The visa-free score states that the Indian passport holders get to visit 58 countries without a prior visa. India shared its rank with Tajikistan. In 2020, India held for 84th position. The index was topped by Japan with a visa score of 191. It has been holding the position for 3 consecutive years. It was followed by Singapore with a visa score of 190 and Germany and South Korea with a visa score of 189 respectively. Let's look at the 5 countries that topped were. At 85 was India with a score of 58. First position was of Japan 191. Second was Singapore with a score of 190. Third was shared by Germany and South Korea with a score of 189. Fourth was shared by Finland, Italy, Luxembourg and Spain with a score of 188. And fifth was shared by Austria and Denmark with a score of 187. Now we'll be looking at some of the important key points. The current ranking do not account the temporary restrictions that have been implemented due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Afghanistan was ranked last at 110th with a score of 26. It is the worst passport to hold. Pakistan rank 107, Nepal rank 104, continue to be in this category having a visa score of 32 and 38 respectively. If we talk about Henley Passport Index, the Henley Passport Index is the original ranking of all the world's passport according to the number of destination their holders can access without a prior visa. The ranking is based on exclusive data from the International Air Transport Association, that is IATA, which means the world's largest and the most accurate database of travel information. Henley and Partners Research Department received the data and enhanced it to release the Passport Index. Who releases this Henley Passport Index? It is released by whom? It is released by Henley and Partners. Henley and Partners. Okay, one thing. Then some additional information that you should remember about this is there are 3 types of Indian passport. 3 types of Indian passports. Okay, let's look at them. First is your ordinary passport. Ordinary passport. Second is your official. And the third one is your diplomatic passport. Okay, let's look at them one by one. What is your ordinary passport? Ordinary passport suggests that it is, first thing, it is dark blue in color. Dark blue. It is dark blue in color and it is used for the purpose of travel. If you are going on education, for education outside, for travel, for vacation, you can use your ordinary passport. Okay, it is also your type P passport. Type P. Okay, P for personal. Then if we talk about official passport, this passport is white color. White color. Okay, this passport is also known as S type. Type S, where S signifies service. This official passport is for the people representing Indian government. People representing Indian government. Okay. Then if we talk about diplomatic passport, this passport is also known by the name type D passport and this is maroon in color. It is maroon in color. Okay, it is maroon in color. Then this type of passport is for the people of higher ranking, such as members of parliament, MPs, etc. Okay, people of high priority. So these are 3 types of passport you should also know. Okay, then this was the video. I hope you liked it. Take care soon. Vikas signing off.